Hello everyone and welcome back to JB's Total Gaming, where today I'm going to be running through the entire alphabet and my favorite board game for each letter. Let's start with saying ah for Armada. Alright, so here's a bit of my review for, well, not my review, I've done several videos on Armada. I really like this game. Yes, I know it's technically Star Wars Armada, but if I did that for everything, it'd make this list harder to put the best games for each letter out there. I love Armada, I've done tutorials on it, I've done comparisons with XWing, I've done a lot of stuff, and it is a game, sorry about the low quality too, between playing on the big screen from YouTube and then re-recording it anyways, but the thing about Armada is it's very different than XWing actually. It's a much more strategic and tactical game basing on these bigger, slower moving ships. And while I like both games quite a bit, Armada is probably the one I prefer because of that kind of slower, more strategic base, and it's really, really just a cool game. Alright, next up. Alright, representing the second letter in the alphabet is Brass. Here's a bit of my review for that. This is a game I like quite a bit. I did this video and then also a video on the app, which I liked quite a bit, although I did think the AI was kind of weak in it. That may have improved since then, I don't know. This is a heavy economic Euro. It is dry, it can run long, and sometimes kind of drag, but this video I did, so it's obviously not for everyone, but it is about how I love the mechanisms in it. I love how when you do something, it could benefit someone else, and you have to decide, is it worth it? I like the transition into the second age and how it plays slightly differently. There's a lot of cool things about this game if you're somebody that's okay with the slower pace of drier setting, and also there is a new edition out there that looks quite a bit nicer, so if the appearance is something also that there's you, at least, you can possibly take that away. Alright, next up is the letter C, and the first thing I think of when I hear the letter C is Cha-Cha-Cha-Chia, but I also think of Concordia because it's a great game. So the thing with Concordia is it's super simple. You play a card, you do what it says, eventually you play a card, you pick up all your cards. Now, it is slightly more complicated than that, obviously, and there's a lot of cool interactions with other people going places, and do you want to go there because it's more expensive if someone else has already been there, and what people are going after, and maybe the most complicated part of the game is the endgame scoring, but overall, I personally don't think it's all that difficult, and it's pretty neat where you're trying to collect certain amounts of certain things, and we're not going to get into it all, but at the end of the day, it's a very elegant design where you just play a card and do what it says. It may allow you to put things out or acquire new cards or things like that, but there's still a lot of complexity. I wouldn't call it an overly complex game, but it's a game that I would actually use the word elegant for, and one that I really, really enjoy. Now for Dun 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 Descent 2nd Edition. I don't have a video for Descent, so here's a cool picture from BGG. Basically, this is a dungeon crawl, and I really enjoyed it. I played this game with my son and my stepson through the whole campaign, and it's probably the most enjoyable experience we've had together in that we like the ongoing campaign and all that. In general, I'm not a big fan of having to play the bad guy. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but still, it's, as far as dungeon crawls go, again, it's very tactical, not that much strategic. Obviously, the miniatures don't normally come painted, so they don't look this fantastic, but we had a really fun time playing together, so that is why it is my choice for D. My next choice is El Grande. So let's go take a look at my review for that, one of my earlier reviews. Alright, here's the deal. I love Eclipse. Eclipse is probably in my top 10 of all time, and this is one of my earliest reviews, El Grande. But El Grande is my favorite game of all time. It may not be pretty, the newer edition may not be all that pretty either, but it's got these big chunky pieces, the cool Castillo that I love, and it's a mean area control game, and I love it, and I've had fun playing it time and time again. It's my favorite game of all time. So Eclipse, you're great, but gotta give it to El Grande. The letter F gives me an interesting opportunity. No, don't go there. Don't want to get my video demonetized, although it's going to happen in a month anyways. But here's the deal. It's Frankenstein's monster. Okay, the big thing that came to life, Victor Frankenstein was the doctor. The creature is Frankenstein's monster, okay? And he's not some mindless killing machine going around killing stuff. In fact, if you go look up Frankenstein's first words, they're an incredibly elegant statement on the human condition. I just called him Frankenstein, didn't I? Alright, but for this letter, my choice is Fresco. Fresco is a relatively light game. It's about painting a chapel. It may seem kind of odd. I love so much about it. I love the turn, as far as the trackers, when you get up, as far as when you get choices of actions, but then things are more expensive. I love that this game is simple, but just it's pleasant to look at, it's pleasant to play, it's fun. I really like Fresco. I also really like Firenze for a lot of the same reasons. I do suggest leaving out the one card the game says maybe leaving out because it's super nasty, but Firenze is also a fantastic tower building game using these cool clunky blocks, and I also did a review for that. But if I had to pick between the two, going with Fresco. Next up, let's go Guildhall. Alright, sorry about this. This is when I was using a handheld thing and didn't have a thing to mount anything on. But anyways, Guildhall is a really cool card game where you're playing against each other, trying to put together sets of guilds, and then, depending on how big they are, use their powers to do different things to your opponents. It is a mean, nasty game. There are a couple versions of it now. You can mix and match some of the characters for some variety if you want to do that. But I do think it's overall a really fun game. I am indeed familiar with said guild halls, and they can be fine places on occasion. However, I have heard a rumor in a far-off land of yet another, more daring adventure, one to test the likes of me, Johann of Clan Brown. Well, this game, there is no mere mortal antagonist. No, the game itself plays the evil that you must vanquish, that you must empower yourself as you also empower those around you. Build up your towns and tell your own story. This mysterious Gloomhaven, as it's called, has been lauded much, and in fact, there is rumor that said adventure may be on its way. I wait with bated breath as delivery men look at me awkwardly. You know, I'm really excited about the letter H. You might even say I'm hyper about it. You might even say I really like Hyperborea. Alright, I didn't do a traditional review of Hyperborea, I more just talked about the potential pros and cons of it. This is a game that I could see a lot of people not liking. It's one that I like, but I could see a lot of people not liking. I'm not going to go into massive detail about it, but it's a pretty cool game that involves building your bag with cubes, much like dice builder games or deck builders have come before that. And it's one that I like, but I definitely say it is not for everybody. Also, honorable mention to Hive. Cute little game played with nice ceramic tiles that the different bugs have different things. It's an abstract game that doesn't have a board. It's really cool. Check it out. It is only 2-player, but I really like it. Affordable, fun, neat. Now, next up, I am, well, Impulse, not Spartacus because it's not S, but anyways, Impulse. I feel like Impulse is one of those games that is criminally underrated. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just have an opinion that other people don't have. I really like Impulse. It's a game that you have a hand of cards and you're doing things out on the map and you're bouncing around and you're triggering actions, and it's relatively complicated. The turn is kind of complicated, and then you're setting up this plan and then you eventually trigger this plan. But I feel like by the time you finish your first game, it's kind of like, oh, okay, now I got it. And the games aren't usually all that long, so I don't think having to play one game to kind of grok what's going on in this game is too bad. I think it's really neat. It's really mean and nasty. But the things you can do and the cool setups you can do because of the complicated turn, and then the way you can trigger off things and bounce back and forth and do all kinds of crazy things and have neat turns and jump ahead from behind on this track where you can score points through all different kinds of things, makes it for a really neat game. You know, I was going to do like a bad accent for this, but let's just not. For J, we have Jamaica, yet another really cool game. This, I've only played this game once. I don't own it. I haven't done a review of it. But out of the games out of Leather J, I remember really enjoying playing this game when I liked it. It's kind of fun. It's kind of simple. And the rulebook being a... No, stop that. But anyways, other than that, there's a lot of luck and randomness. There's dice rolling where you can end up losing a battle you really should have won. You can lose your goods, all different kinds of stuff. But it's silly. It's meant to like knock people back and forth. It's kind of a race game, but there are other objectives, and just because you win doesn't mean you'll win the game. And I just think it's really cool and fun. The designers of this next game really like the letter K. Well, actually, more accurately, they really like the word key. Again, older review, my apologies, but Keyflower I personally think it's really fun. Now, there's Osmandius. But Keyflower is a game that not everyone I've played with has liked it. They may have had a little trouble understanding the bidding. The game I had one game of this that was terrible that ran long because of people APing, but overall, I think it's an amazing game, and I've also had an experience recently where I played this game with someone who hadn't played it before, and they went out and immediately bought it. But I really like it. It's got a cool mechanism where you're bidding with your meeples. They are also your workers, and if you put them on other people's tiles, you can block them from taking an action, but at the same time, they get that meeple. I just really love the economy of the meeples in this game and think it's a fantastic, fun game. La, 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 la. I love those old Bugs Bunny cartoons. Anyways, Legend of the Five Rings. So I want to point out, I haven't played the original version of this. I can't really compare it to that at all. And I do have some issues with this. I don't like, even though I like that is a living card game as opposed to a collectible or trading card game, I don't like the core set thing they did with Netrunner, although I think it's even more egregious in this one. There are more one-of cards and things like that. And, well, but I still really like it. I do feel like Fantasy Flight is starting to have an issue where a lot of their games are bleeding into their other games. Even seeing mechanisms in the upcoming Legion reminds me of some things in other games. This game reminds me a little bit of Game of Thrones, but I still really like it. My son and I play it every opportunity that we get. I think it's a fantastic card game that has some interesting ideas where it does have different types of attacks, like Game of Thrones, but then this honor system and all that. And it's a gorgeous card game too. So, I love it. Also, quick shout out to Legacy, Testament of Duke de Cressy. Really cool game about building up a family tree that I really like. Takes a lot of table space, but really cool game. I mean, why even play around with the letter M? Everybody knows it's Monopoly. I can't even keep a straight face. It's Mage Knight. So for Mage Knight, I also did kind of a pros and cons video, not an all-out review, because this is a game that some people will despise. This is also a game that some people like me will love. This is also a game that many people like me will hardly ever get to play because it's incredibly complicated and it's easy to forget the rules. You need to relearn the rules and set aside enough time to play because it can be really long. But man, is it good if you're the type of gamer that likes this sort of thing. The puzzle every turn of figuring out what to do with your cards and how to make it work to get done what you want to get done, only to turn over a monster you can't beat and get beat up and then messed over for the next few turns, and it makes you sad, but I love it. N is for nefarious, because that's what these corporations are. These corporations that are only seeking after money and don't really care about human cost at all. And in the game, all right. No, so Netrunner is amazing. Let's talk about it. All right, Netrunner is another fantastic game, again by Fantasy Flight with the core set net expansions that have 3 cards in all of them. This is a game I really got into, I really liked, and truly think is unique. You have the corporation trying to get through their agendas, and then the hacker trying to get through and stop those. There's a big element of bluffing and risk and reward in this game, and my son didn't really get into it all that much. Again, sorry, older video, but because the whole bluffing thing and all that was a little much for him at the time. He really loves L5R. Now he's a little bit older, and the whole bluffing thing is something that he's not really big on anyways. But I love this game, really got into it, and then my local group kind of stopped playing it, and then I ended up selling off my stuff because I wasn't playing with my son. Then they kind of started playing again. Maybe they don't like me? I had a little trouble thinking of a game with the next letter that I really liked until I remembered One Moment in Time when I played Once Upon a Time. So Once Upon a Time is a cool, pretty simple storytelling game where you kind of tell stories and interrupt each other, and it's simple and fun, and I actually really enjoyed it. Not much else to say other than that. The next letter is P. Not doing anything fun for it because I'm not really excited about it, and it'll probably make some people angry. So here we go. The reason I'm not excited is Puerto Rico is a pretty cool game. I don't particularly really love it though. I actually prefer San Juan, the card game, but it's cool. I mean, I like it. I think it was amazing for its time, but I do think the concept has been done better since. It's cool. I really do like it, but I do want to point out I just couldn't think of another better P, but I do. I like it enough. Yeah. There's so many cool references we could use for the letter Q. I mean, obviously Q, who's in multiple board games involving Star Trek. We could talk about Quella, the German for source, or the document that seems to be shared between the Gospels of Mark and Matthew. We could, anyways, yeah, let's get on to Quantum. I really like Quantum. However, don't play Quantum with people who get angry when they are. There's all kinds of attacking. Sometimes you make a maneuver just because it's the best thing you can do, but this game's really cool. Each die represents a different ship. The number on the die represents the type of ship it is. The smaller the number, the less powerful they are in combat, but the more they can move. There are cool upgrades you can get for your faction, and at the end of the day, you're trying to get a certain number around planets so you can plop down your cubes on the planets, and then you plop down enough cubes, you win the game. It's mean, nasty. That really seems to be a theme for a lot of my games. Maybe that's why nobody wants to play Netrunner with me. But anyways, it is a really cool game and one that I enjoy as long as you're okay with a lot of conflict. Oh, and a side note, surprisingly, some of the letters I had issues with, I wasn't expecting to. This one I didn't. Honorable mention to Quarkle. It's fast, simple, and really fun. You get to shout, Quarkle! Ruffles have rigid. I can't roll my R right. I'm sorry, but anyways, the next game is probably no surprise to anyone who's a fan of my channel. Roll for the Galaxy. All right, I really love Roll for the Galaxy, and I like Race too. I played it online on one of the things you can play for free. I really liked it and lost time and time and time and time and time again until I kind of got the idea of how to play it and won maybe once or twice, and then I quit. But Roll is so fun. I get why some people prefer Race. They're very different games, but I just think Roll is really neat. It's a little bit to wrap your head around as to how everything goes right off the bat, but once you get it, you can play this game incredibly quick. There are very few games we play twice in a row at board game nights. We played this 3 times in a row once because we got in a groove. Everyone understood the game really well. Everyone was taking their turns simultaneously. People were trying different tactics. Everyone was being different factions, trying different stuff out. It's just, I love it. It's super fun. I miss some of their French fried potatoes. For the few of you that even got that was from Sling Blade, I guess it's kind of like Scythe. But anyways, I really like Scythe. So I really like Scythe. I think it's a unique hybrid game, a hybrid between a resource management game and a war game. And it's really interesting, in my opinion. I like a lot of hybrid games like Eclipse and things like that because I just like the way these things meld together. And if you're someone who's okay with some combat but doesn't want a game to be overly combat focused, this may be a good game for you. I think it's a good balance between the two. You have a limited number of military units and it costs resources to go into battle, so there's definitely fighting. It's advantageous at times, but you just simply can't do it too much, so I think it strikes a really nice balance. The only real question for me is, do I prefer this or Viticulture from this designer? And I asked this question when I did my review of Scythe because I wasn't sure then yet. I'm still not sure now. I really like it. Oh, honorable mention to Star Realms. Star Realms is a really neat little deck builder game. I think it's best with 2 players. I've played it with 3 and 4. I really don't actually like it. Some people do, I don't. But as a 2-player, cheap, affordable, quick deck builder, it's really fun. My son and I have played a whole lot of it. Star Realms is cool. So instead of making some bad joke about the letter T, I'll tell you something that I did when I initially posted my list, this list to Facebook on my personal Facebook and on BGG. I called the next game Terra Mystica, as in the name Terra. And yeah, one of my friends pointed out to me that, like, who's this Terra? And then there became an interesting conversation about that. Yeah, it was late. Whatever. But anyways, Terra Mystica. So my video for this was a first impressions. After playing it once, I said I would do an updated video if I felt like my feelings on the game have changed, and they haven't. It's really good. Again, not for everyone. It's super complex. There's all kinds of things building on things and little persnickety rules you have to remember, and the factions working differently, and the terraforming, and all the stuff you can trade. It's easy to forget that you can trade items, and it just constantly feels like you don't have enough stuff. And again, no stand for this video. I apologize for that. But like, there's a lot of reasons I could see people not liking this game, but I love it. And again, hardly ever play it because it's not incredibly long. It's a little bit long, but it's not for everybody. However, for people that really like these grinding games, feeling like you constantly don't have enough resources, trying to figure out the puzzle, there's a lot of mechanisms to tie into each other, and I think this makes this game work really cool. Particularly the idea the way your economy goes. If you do a more advanced building, you have to replace the one that's previous in the tech tree to that, and then lose those resources. So balancing all that is a super interesting puzzle for those of you who like to torture yourself, I guess. You is a stupid letter. I had a real hard time with this, and I picked the game, and some of my friends got upset. This game got played a lot at my group, and people got sick of it, and a lot of people don't like it, and I don't really like it, so I guess maybe we'll give this a half an award and give the other half to Uno because I kind of like Uno, and I guess I kind of like this game, and sorry for those of you who really like it because I know a lot of people do. It's, of course, Ultimate Werewolf. I chose this picture because I thought it was fantastic. This is cool in that you can play with a big group, and I know a lot of people that have a lot of fun playing this game. I personally feel like there are better social deduction games out there. This one was early on. It's been updated a lot of times, and I do love that you can play it with a huge group, way bigger than some of the other social deduction games I might prefer to play. But yeah, so we'll give it half to this and half to Uno, and guess we move on, and I'll offend my friends that hate this game and the people that love this game, and no wonder nobody wants to play Netrunner with me. So can you guess what V is? I've already mentioned it. Yeah, it's Viticulture. It's awesome. Oh, but before we move on, I forgot about the 3 honorable mentions I had at T. It was really tough. I really love Trajan. I really, really like Tribune. And I really, really like Tammany Hall. And that's a lot of honorable mentions. But you know what? It's my list, so deal with it. Viticulture. You might say, hey, why don't you have a video on this? Well, because several people in my gaming group had it and we played a bunch and I didn't feel the need to buy it, although I may go out and buy kind of the new core set that includes some of the components of the big expansion you can get for it, because that's a very affordable way to get a lot of the cool stuff in this game. It's a game about making wine. It is relatively complicated. There's a lot of aspects to it. You're building different buildings, get different powers, you're choosing where your workers go. There's 2 sides, and you can pass early to have more workers on the other side. And despite some complexity, I don't think it's overly complicated. It may take you a little while to get it, but once you do, it's really fun making wine. War never changes. Now, it's not Fallout because we're past F and I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it is Warhammer Disc Wars. Alright, here's the deal. I said how much I hated the rulebooks in this and then the divided up rulebook, which in general I'm not a fan of, and I wish Fantasy Flight and everyone else would stop doing. But a lot of people were like, you're dumb, the rules are easy. Well, I guess I'm dumb. So I'm dumb and mean and nasty and self-abusing or something with games that are too hard. But anyways, I like Warhammer Disc Wars. I don't think it's amazing, but I do like it. My son in particular really likes it, and that's why it's my W, because we've had fun playing it together, and he's actually way better at it than me, and it's interesting. It's kind of the idea of playing a tabletop miniature game, but more affordable because you're using these discs. It's a little bit wonky, the movement where you flip the discs. Obviously, it's easy to slide things around and mess up, but it definitely gives you some idea of strategy, and it's well illustrated. And like I said, we had fun playing with it, as long as you don't want to take it too seriously, the way that some tabletop wargamers definitely can do. I mean, no offense or anything, just but if you're super serious, you might want to avoid this one. Sure, we had Armada on the list, and I said I probably like it better than XWing, but I really like it better than XWing. And this is also why I didn't classify everything as like Star Wars Armada or Star Wars XWing, because then I don't think my list would be as accurate to my likes. So the thing with X-Wing, it's probably, again, like I said, more tactical than strategic, more short-term, and overall a little bit simpler. I don't want to say it's incredibly simple, but a little bit simpler. And again, it uses the same mechanism as other games, I believe. Is it Wings of Glory? Is that it? Wings of War? I think it's Wings of Glory. And then also eventually there's the Star Trek version of the game. But as much as I like Star Trek, I like Star Wars a little bit better. So I really like this game, and the models are better in this than the Star Trek game. I'm sorry, they're kind of inconsistent for that. But although there's some cool elements with like crew and that, but you can get that on Armada. But anyways, I don't have enough money for all these miniature games because a lot of them are really good, including this one. Arr, the next game be Yggdrasil, which pirates and Vikings aren't really the same thing, but I wanted to say Yar. When is National Talk Like a Pirate Day again? Anyways. I don't own Yggdrasil. I've only had the opportunity to play it once, and it was a while back, but I liked it pretty well. So there you go. In a letter without a lot of competition, it's a game that I remember enjoyed playing, and I couldn't think of another one. So I'm not saying it's bad. Just I'm not like disappointed by having this on my list, like Ultimate Werewolf. No offense, but it was enjoyable. I don't remember it all that well, but I remember I enjoyed it, and that's why it's on the list. The penultimate one. The Omega. Wait, Zeta is... Yeah, not the last letter. That's weird. But anyways, for Z, it's Zularetto. Also don't own Zularetto. Also only played it once, but I really enjoyed it when I played it. So definitely, pretty happy to end with this one because it's a light, fun, attractive game. It's pretty cool. Now, I didn't do a game that officially starts with a number, but if I did, it would be Seven Wonders. I love it. I think several of the expansions are pretty solid for it, and I think it plays really great from 3 to 7. So a lot of people preferred it 3, but I had a lot of fun playing a 7-player game of it one time, and I like how it quickly goes through and basically plays in the same game length, unless you have one player APing, but if you have one player APing in a 3-player game and not in a 7. Yeah, anyways, it's really cool. So there you go. There's the A to Z list with some honorable mentions of games. A few of them I had to pick a game for a letter, but most of these games are games that I highly recommend. The game list may change in the near future, but and I probably won't be re-updating this list anytime soon, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you want to let me know anything in the comments, please do. Please like, share, subscribe. Hitting that like button really helps the channel. If you want to watch one of my previous videos about what's going on with YouTube, I could really basically, short of it, they're demonetizing all small channels like mine, which is a bummer, and if I can get some more exposure, that would really help the channel, and I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. I had fun doing it. I doubt a bunch of people are going to put in their A through Z list, but if you want to, go ahead. I mean, but yeah. But any type of comment you want to leave would be great. Of course, there would be some that probably wouldn't be great, but even thumbs down and negative comments help the algorithm. And apparently I'm a mean, nasty person. Just this video made me realize that, so maybe I didn't have fun making this. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you next time.